Jacqueline Harn is with us, chairwoman for the Georgia Young Republicans, Democratic voter Rhonda Fulginiti, and also independent voter Daryll Triplett. Guys, welcome back. I love to talk to each of you and hear your perspectives on some of these important issues. This one front and center in our nation's capital, but I think more big picture, a lot of cities are going, all right, well, I don't love crime in my community. What's going to be done? Or don't come to my community and I don't want to see the National Guard. Daryll, let me start with you. You've been a police officer for more than 30 years. What's your perspective on the president's push in D.C. right now to crack down on crime?
Listen, folks, just because numbers are down, it doesn't mean that we get a pat on the back. I believe that we have great police officers out there, and they're trying to do the right things. One homicide is too many. And, like you've said, I have over 30 years wearing a badge as a police officer, and I can tell you firsthand that numbers on a piece of paper, they can be maneuvered. And, like I heard you say when we came back from commercial break, does that matter to a mother who's lost her child to violent gunfire? These thugs roam on our streets right now, and you think she cares about stats? No, she doesn't. She cares that our streets has been untamed for a number of years. That's what she cares about, and it's time for someone to do something about it. And that's exactly what President Trump is trying to do. Again, half of the arrests, don't forget, are juveniles, carjackings and robberies and stuff like that, over 51% last year. And this year, we're on track for even a higher number. And that's why I agree with the president for bringing in, and I think most law enforcement agree with the president decision to bring in the National Guard when we're dealing with stuff like this. The law allows it, the numbers demand it. And public safety for our capital, it depends on it.
We are already hearing from a number of Democratic mayors who are saying, not in my city, we've got this handled. Rhonda, let's talk to you. You're an attorney, as a citizen and also as a legal eye. What are your thoughts on the president's approach here and what else he might do next?
So I think we just all need to start with the premise that this president did not call out the National Guard on January 6th. That was a full-on riot and assault on the Capitol Police, and the people of D.C. And he didn't implement the power he's doing now on that date. So I think if we start with that, we can then look at how radical the idea is of calling out the National Guard. I go to D.C. all the time. I have friends and family that are there, and no one that I've talked to, including police officers, wants to see tanks and National Guard officers on the streets there. Now, we can talk about fudging the facts. At this point, the president hasn't led us to any alternative set of statistics to show that this is a problem. And I'm not saying there's not crime in D.C., there's not crime in New York, there's not crime in Chicago. But our police officers are doing a really, really good job in those cities and other cities around the country, as are the mayors, Republican and Democrat. So to bring in the National Guard at this point is setting a precedent that is dangerous for the country. I don't think it's going to work. Honestly, I think it's scaring people, especially the students in D.C. are really, really concerned about what they're seeing. And also, I think at this point, Marnie, and to the rest of the panel, what does he intend to do in the future? What is the game plan? What is the strategy here? We do not need the federal government to come in and do these things. He campaigned on that. He campaigned on keeping the states independent and letting them do their own thing. With abortion, that was the highlight of that argument in his campaign. But I think it's very important to start with the two premises that he didn't do it on January 6th. He campaigned on something totally different. And I don't think it's necessary at this point. And legally, I think it's setting a precedent that the other states are going to start fighting if he decides to move there.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.